Citizens of New Carlisle. Welcome to our regular scheduled work session for November 2nd, 2020 at 6 p.m. Before we get moving, I wanted to mention this, there will be a chance or a probability that Mr. Vice Mayor will take this meeting over, as I am out of the state right now for work, and he will take over if that was to happen. So I just wanted to let everyone know. And Ms. Berner, if you could, call roll, please.
Yep. Mayor Lowry,
Here.
Councilman Grimm,
I'm here.
Councilman Nowakowski,
Here.
Councilman Rodwald,
Here.
Councilman Cobb,
Here.
Councilwoman Eggleston,
Here.
Vice Mayor Cook.
Present and accountable.
7 members present.
Thank you very much, ma'am. And moving on to the invocation tonight by Vice Mayor Cook.
If you bow your heads, our Heavenly Father, please give us the guidance for which this meeting is intended. Let us make our intelligent decisions. Please bless all of our first responders, our troops overseas, and let's see what we can do in order to get rid of this coronavirus. With that, I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, sir. And the pledge, Mr. Grimm has the flag as always. Thank you, sir. I pledge allegiance to
Yes.
the flag of
Flag.
the United States of America,
States of America.
and the republic
Republic
for which it
for which
stands,
it
Stands.
one nation,
nation.
under
under
God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
Liberty.
Liberty, justice for all.
for all.
All right, thank you very much. Moving on, let's see here. Action on minutes, non-communication. City managers report, non-comments from the members of the public. Mr. Britt, how are you looking, sir?
We have no new messages.
All right, thank you very much. Committee reports, none, resolutions and ordinances, zip, and other business. We will go to legislation discussion, and I will hand it back to Mr. Bridge, the city manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council, members of the public, and members of administration that's present tonight. So we got a few legislation pieces to go over. All of these will be voted on tonight. The first one is Resolution 2020-21R. That is our capital improvement plan for the years 2021 to 2025. We also have Resolution 2020-22R, and that is a resolution providing for the permanent transfer of funds from the city's ambulance capital and ambulance operating funds into the fire operating funds of the city of New Carlisle. That one has to deal with some we had to correct some postings that our former finance director had put into the system in order for us to complete our audit that we had to get a few extensions on. So basically that's what that resolution does. It allows us to fix those missed postings for our former finance director and to get our system. Let me get this going here. Sorry about that. Hi, Chief. How you doing? In order for us to get our system in line with the audit results. On to the ordinances, we have ordinance 2020-39, and that is an ordinance amending ordinance 2020-35 for the purpose of correcting a scrivener's error. And that ordinance 2020-35 was the sludge removal for the wastewater plant, where it had not to exceed $50,000, but then the actual, when the term was written out, it had $150,000. So we're going to correct that typo tonight for it not to exceed $50,000. And then we have ordinance 2020-41E, and that is an ordinance supplementing certain appropriations contained in New Carlisle City Ordinance 2020-12 and declaring an emergency. We don't like to do emergency ordinances. This one is on there because this has to do with the House Bill 614 funds we got from the coronavirus relief package from the federal government. That particular installment was around $200,000. We do need to increase our appropriations in order to spend that, and that's why that legislation is in front of council tonight. We do have some ways that we're going to discuss in the regular meeting how we would like to expend that, and we'll again have that discussion with council tonight. We do have to have those things encumbered actually by November 20th. So I will get with Colleen tomorrow, and we'll get our game plan together. But again, that's the money that we have to lose or send back if we do not use it, and it is to fight the coronavirus spread. That is it for the legislation discussion. I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Council, any questions for Mr. Bridge?
Nope.
No, nothing on the CEIP or the amendments that may or may not need to be made tonight.
No.
Nope.
Is that all we have for this meeting?
Well, we got the other open discussion related to city business, and that's when I was going to get into like part of the city manager report.
Oh,
Kind of
okay.
just rehash the budget work session items, so council's all on the same page with how the vote's going to go tonight, perhaps.
Okay, well, there you go.
All right,
Do you-
so.
Do you
Mr.
think we need to discuss some of those here in the work session?
Yeah, that's what we're going to get ready to bring up.
All right.
So we had the 2 work session items, and some of those things had impacted our CIP that's going to be voted on tonight. And instead of starting the process all over again, what you guys can do is actually start discussing these amendments. And then once we're in regular session, you guys can vote on each amendment. For example, if you want to add decorative street lighting, you can go ahead and make a motion to approve that. And then same thing for the cemetery road repairs. You guys can discuss that. If all of council wants to throw that in there and has a minute, you can make that motion. And then once we vote on the actual legislative piece, what you guys can do is just whoever makes that first motion can say, I motion to approve the CIP with the following amendments. And that's going to be whatever list you guys decide to bring over from the work session discussion topics. So everyone's on the same page. I think that's probably going to be the best because we do have quite a few to go through. So if you want, Mr. Mayor, I can just go ahead and re-familiarize the list with everyone.
Yeah, by all means, please do.
Okay, so the first thing that was up, and these are the ones that deal specifically with the resolution tonight. And then we have some other ones that's going to impact our 2021 appropriations. But these following items only impact the capital improvement plan. So council wanted to discuss adding decorative street lighting backups. So if one gets hurt, we have one ready to go. Those are about $4,000 a piece. Adams Tower removal or funds to preserve it. And that's going to have a little asterisk because depending on how council want to do, we may just have to put an earmark in there for the removal. And then once you guys go ahead and discuss how you're going to move forward, we'll just unfortunately have to amend it again to see if council should chose to keep it, that's going to clearly have to be amended in the CIP. So that one may be a little tricky because I am requesting some work session dates later on to discuss that more in detail. We also have to discuss savings in the CIP for a new city building and or renovation of the other one that we have on Main Street, and also savings in the CIP for a new fire station. So it looks like we have a list of about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items that would have to be amended through motion to approve to add to the CIP you guys are going to do tonight. So we also have other discussion points that have to deal with the 2021 appropriations, and that is adding $15,000 for fireworks. And we're also going to discuss the 2,000 employee appreciation line item for employee events, and then also removing $40,000 from the planning department's community development budget and transfer to the swimming pool for the 2021 pool liner purchase. And we also have to discuss just general topics, increasing non-residential pool fees. And I also want to get into some 101 South Main uses.
All right, thank you, sir. Council, does anybody have any comments or questions or something they want to start on? Okay. Well, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Are we going to discuss bringing the city court system back into, I guess the word is our bailiwick?
That's in the city manager report. It's under mayor's court, law director currently researching, and more information to come. So right now what I have the law director doing is seeing if there's a feasibility, if we can even have it or not. What he's researching is some ORC stipulations. We don't have our own police force, so we contract out with Clark County. So all the cases that he's seen where these municipality or small villages have a mayor's court, they have their own police force to kind of issue the tickets. So what he's going to be researching is, can we even have it because we contract out, and can we use our contracted deputies in place of the ORC requirement? So once we have that information, then we'll be doing some further research regarding, how other places do it, how much they charge for the magistrate, how many cases they do, the frequency of how many times you guys want to do it. Is this once a month, twice a month? But then the big kicker, all this is also where you guys want to house the mayor's court. Is this going to be at the Smith Park Shelter House? Which I was talking to Mr. Cook today about this briefly, and also Mr. Mayor, may be beneficial to look at putting it back in the shelter house where council meets, opposed to having anything to do with the 101 South Main Street building for security purposes. But that's a discussion that council will have to have. But unfortunately, until we know for sure if we can have it or not, everything else is kind of, waiting on that one determination from our law director.
Thank you, Mr. Bridge.
Mhm.
Mr. Vice, got anything else, Mr. Vice Mayor?
We can start down the list and go from there and get some of these things worked out. That way we don't have to spend all of the council meeting discussing them, I think.
Sure.
Right. Okay. Me personally, just looking at the list, like the streetlight backup, I think if Colleen and Mr. Bridge are comfortable with, 4,000 isn't a whole lot of money, but if you guys are comfortable, I think ordering a backup light, I think it would be a nice thing to have on hand, just because it seems like it takes so long for them to order them. I think Howie said they have to actually make those because they don't keep them on hand or a pile of them ready. So I like that idea. Just my 2 cents.
I agree.
So do I.
I agree, as long as it doesn't get out of hand, as long as it's just one or two.
Right.
As long as we're not stockpiling them.
Exactly.
If we get one on hand, it can go in and we can immediately order the next one.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It just saves that eyesore of the cones up and down Main Street if possible.
Mhm.
How many do we have down now? 2?
2 or 3.
I do believe it's 2.
The one in front of CVS.
One by Studebakers, I think.
Studebakers, yep.
Mhm.
They
So
finally
we're up.
put up
We're
some poles
already
there.
short too.
Yeah. What'd you say,
So,
Mr. Mayor? Okay. Anyways, moving on, I'm just trying to go off what I wrote down your list there, Randy.
Sure.
The savings for the city building / and I know I'd asked Mr. Vice Mayor about this. If I'm remembering right, he was okay with it being for a new city building or the one that we currently have if we decide to renovate it, but that's his call. He brought it up. But I don't see an issue with it.
No, my feeling is to put that aside for a new one if future council in some instances feel that we can't do that, and the citizens would turn down the fact of building a new city building, then it may have to go into I don't want to say this, renovating an existing building.
Right. Any other comments on that one?
How much are we looking, to put into this fund? Just, 10,000, 25,000? What?
I think we had mentioned 25,000 when we were talking about it earlier.
Okay. And Vice Mayor, you're still okay with the wording being and/or renovations to the current city building, or do you want it strictly to be just for a new building?
I would prefer it would be for new.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't mind either way. I just wanted to make sure we were getting what you were going for.
Can I make a recommendation when you guys get a free second?
Yes, sir.
I think it's noble you guys are doing this to help the budget, but I think it'd be easier, especially for future council or future administrator, or whoever's doing the budget and who's ever the city manager, if it comes down to that. But let's say you guys earmark it now for just a new building. And then, years down the road when we're actually ready to move on that, and it does end up being a renovation, it's just going to be a whole new process to get that money now earmarked for the renovation, since it's originally earmarked for a new city building, built from the ground up. So maybe you word it to be like just for a future home of the city buildings. That way, no matter if it's a renovation or built up from the ground up, the money's there to be utilized. So that's what it's going to be used for anyway.
Right.
But I think down the road, when it's actually going to be utilized, this is going to ease up a lot of legislation and stuff like that. So just to go ahead and use it if it does turn out to be a renovation.
Makes sense to me.
I agree.
Mr. Cobb?
I can't see dumping over $1 million in that building downtown. And by the long term of what you're looking at, before you start doing that, yes, you're looking over $1 million. You're
And it's still,
you're better to stick that into a new building.
Well, we don't know the future. I mean, it could be, we can find another building to renovate. Doesn't have to be that particular one. When you just leave the terms on there about building from the ground up or renovating, it secures it to the purpose, which is a new city hall, but it doesn't detail with how that is going to be constructed. I'll tell you that right now.
What do you think, Mr. Vice Mayor?
I think at the point in time, this is all going to depend upon our financial situation. I, again, would like to see it dedicated to the new, but I understand Mr. Bridges' thoughts here on legislation possibly being incurred in order to get this money changed around.
Right.
And I will add that like anything that we do with that, since it's over the monetary amount for us to spend without council approval, everything will be going to council anyway, as far
Right.
as
Right.
whether it be new build or renovation.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, if we were to go to a new city building, again, according to the charter, unless it is changed, this has to go before the voters.
Okay.
Anybody else on that matter? All right. I believe fireworks was next. Fireworks, what did we say, 15 or 17?
15.
15. Anyone got any comments?
I mean, I'm for it, but we also, like Vice Mayor said, we don't know where we're going to be 6 months from now financially.
Right.
So, I don't want to say no and then 6 months from now everything is quote unquote back to normal and we can have it, because it's a great revenue generator for the local businesses. It's nice for the citizens not have to travel to Huber, Tip, Troy. And if it's timed right, we can bring some of those citizens into our city and get some of that money, whether, like I said, it's at the local grocery store, the ice cream shops, gas stations, whatever. So,
Right.
I'm all for it on the premise that financially it's where we need to be.
Yeah. I mean, after the, I'm sorry, Dale, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
After the year 2020, yeah, I mean, I think if we're financially there and able to, and we're allowed to, as far as what's going on next year with the virus and regulations, I mean, I think citizens would want nothing more but than a celebration to get out and celebrate their freedom. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. They were
definitely one that I'm for it. We can put it in there and just play it by ear, kind of like we're doing with some of the other things. Mr. Grimm, sorry about that.
if we put it in there, that doesn't mean we have to spend it.
Right.
We don't know what's going to happen, 9 months down the pike, 8 months down the pike. Yeah, I think we should put it in there just in case we're able to use it.
well, and I mean, and this question be for Vice Mayor and Mr. Cobb, because I know they've spearheaded this. What's the time frame for reaching out to the companies that you guys have used in the past for the fireworks display? When do you want to start getting that lined up?
If you're going to do it in July, you're going to have to sign a contract no later than May 1st of June.
Okay. So that's definitely something, I mean, and I mean, obviously I don't know if we sign a contract, what's the cost to get out of that said contract now I think May and June, we should have a better idea of where we're going to be financially, where the state's going to be with restrictions, but that's definitely something. If we put it in, we'll have to look at that probably no later than April. to start to get down to the finances of it and see where we're at and see where the city's at.
Yeah, that'd be about right.
Mr. Vice Mayor. Thank you, Dan.
Let me throw this out for discussion. You know, with this coronavirus, I think if we're able to get a vaccine, if we're able to get back to a progressive type of an operation to where we've got people meeting and doing things, would it be more apropos to, I guess the word is, put forth some kind of an idea of a community event, regardless of whether it's 4th of July or whatever date, that the citizens basically could celebrate the fact that we're over this coronavirus, have the fireworks again without a real firm date, the baseball association coming back into play, barbecues, food trucks, whatever we need to be, and also enter into the pool at that point. Some type of a community celebration.
You know, when you'd mentioned that, I think we could probably do it. I mean, if the city's going to do fireworks, if we do them, and if the pool is open, you've got the multiple groups. You've got you got the car show guys, you've got the festival people, you've got the farmers market people. We could all probably butt heads and whip something up like that night market or something, and do give it a title, some sort of freedom of COVID party or something. But it's a good idea.
So maybe we just change the name to fireworks to community event.
Yeah.
That way it can be used for just about any event.
Right. Definitely an idea for next year when we start getting an idea of where the country will be headed. Anything else on that one, Mr. Vice Mayor?
No, I think if we're all in agreement to do it, I think, yes, we need to put about the 15,000 in the budget for that event. Call it community event, however you want to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mr. Grimm.
I have a question for Mr. Cobb and Mr. Vice Mayor. If we start discussing this in April, is that going to leave enough time for the planning, the intricacies of pulling it off?
It depends what date you're going to do. What month?
We're looking at Independence Day.
I think you also need to bring the Parks and Recreation Department into this in order to give them some kind of I guess the word is input into it, and let those people also work on this. Just because we're talking and planning this, things could drastically change after the first of the year, depending on whether or not this virus goes away, again, depending upon our finances. So there's going to be a lot of ifs on how we approach this, but we can plan. The plans can always change.
Let me rephrase the question. The last fireworks display we had, you two did most of the work on it. How much time, how long, how many months did you spend on that?
Mr. Kaba, would we be at a point that we could say it's been 2.5 to 3 months that we talked with Mr. Elsner, and I believe Mr. Bridge got involved in talking with the gentleman up at the fireworks company in order to get this thing taken care of?
Yeah, we also got a hold of Mr. Fab Metals. I can't think of his name right now.
Mr. Hensley.
Pardon?
Hensley.
Yeah, Mr. Hensley. We talked to him early to verify everything. And yeah, you're about right on the starting in April. See how things are going in April. If the money's there. I'd say if you're going to put up 15,000, you can figure that'll be about a $10,000 show. And then everything else, the remainder 5,000 is going to do with the extra deputies, porta johns, dumpsters, and stuff like that. So yeah, you're looking at a $10,000 show, which is roughly, what is it, Mr. Cook? About a 15-minute show.
Does that answer your question, Dale?
Yeah, yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Anyone else on that one? All right, moving on to the pool liner. Anyone got any comments on that one?
The only comment I have, I can't see borrowing $40,000 out of there to do the pool liner this year.
Okay.
Out of what, the general fund?
Yeah, that would where it would be coming from.
My only question is, I mean, I know we lose a lot of water and chemicals due to the leaks in the liner, and I'm sure we haven't had the time to figure out what's the added cost that how many gallons of water we lose in a day out of the pool? How much extra cost is that chemical wise that we're having to use? Is that so severe that we couldn't just stay on track where we were with it being replaced in 2022? Those are some of those questions. Mike, you would know this better. I mean,
my opinion on that question is depending on what day and who you ask how severe that is.
Yes. No, I understand.
My thought on this is, because I brought this one up, so I'll go through it again real quick with everyone. And I know the planning department was going to get the 70,000 from the general fund, and Mr. Bridge said, for community development, knocking down, whatever ugly properties that have been vacant or that are falling over or whatever it may be. But I also look at it as there's never been a solid plan brought forward by Mr. Kitco or the admin to get this pool taken care of. It's always been ideas that's been brought to him or to council. Never in the reverse. Like, for example, when you see with the water tower or whatever it may be. So if I have a house and I've got a water leak, I'm going to fix my own water leak before I go and start working on a neighbor's house, especially when it's been leaking for years and years and years. I mean, it's just how I see it. This is the second year of our program for the planning department, and I'm thrilled that Derek's a part of it and doing such a great job from what I can tell. But I think take a little bit of the general fund money that he was going to get of 70,000 and fix our water leak, because every year the pool is a hot topic for why is it costing us so much money, but we're going to just set it aside again so we can go work on something else. I mean, I'm not saying that other direction isn't important, but that's just how I see it. So. Anyone else?
I could see, if we have it available, maybe taking the 40,000 from general fund reserve. But I hate to see taking that out of the planning, just because they're working on making the city more beautiful so that we can get more people in and more businesses in.
So we so we let a repair go that is needed repaired and it was costing us money.
No, I didn't say that. If we had the money in the general fund reserve, we could take it from there.
Well, if we take the 40 from the 70 that he's getting, he still gets 30, the pool gets 40, it's a win-win. Derek still has money to do what he needs to do, and we stop a leak that's costing us money. We're gonna spend money to knock down properties or clean up properties that aren't even ours, but ours aren't even taken care of.
Hey, Derek, you want to go ahead and tell council what you have planned with that 70,000? Because it is a lot more than just tearing down buildings. And what Mrs. Eggleston is recommending is she actually taking it out of the fund balance that's left over from the general fund. Because what you guys would be doing is you'd be taking more than half of a community development line item out of a department that you guys just voted to fund and then putting it to the pool. So that makes no sense to do that route. I like the idea better of taking it out of the general fund reserves, but I also like the idea of sticking to the plan and saving 40,000 and then actually fixing that in funding year 2021. 2022. So the pool would literally have to go one more year. But if anything council decides to go, I think you should take it out of the fund balance, because if not, Derek's not going to do a lot of the stuff that he's about ready to tell you guys about. So Derek, if your connection's good enough, sir, you got a second, just go ahead and tell the council what that $70,000 is actually accounted for.
Sure, and hopefully I come through okay, because on my end, everyone's freezing up pretty bad. So, so far, am I coming through okay?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, in that line item, that community development, economic development line item, same as last year. In the last year or this current year, obviously the coronavirus that took a hit. We did not get to utilize many of our funds at all this year because of that spending hold there. But it's a lot more than just tearing down houses. We are looking at several different programs and projects to initiate out of that $70,000. So it does include some demolition of some nuisance abatement properties, but we're also right now I'm looking at ideas of bringing in a dog park, something that we don't have in this community that I think a lot of our residents would utilize. So looking at a dog park, I've done research on a Frisbee golf course, but possibly bringing in, we got some enhancements downtown that we can make as far as planters, possibly benches, other items like that. It really is just a scratch of the surface that would come out of that $70,000. So there would be quite a few projects that would end up getting dumped if we lost that money. So it's a lot more than just residential tearing down buildings. That is a portion of it, but it's not even half of it. So there will be a lot of projects that
I figured you had other things to do. I know that was just, Randy just touched on a couple things. I'm not saying he was only saying we're tearing down buildings. I think that was just, he just hit a few small items when he was giving the description. But let me ask you this, Derek, or anyone else for that matter. You want to build new parks before we fix property that we already own that needs work. That makes no sense.
A dog park is land and a fence. So it's not like we're going to put playground equipment and stuff in.
But there's still equipment that goes along with the dog park. I'm just simply saying that you're wanting to add on or buy things, using general fund money when we've got our own property that's got its own problems that have never been brought forward or taken care of. How long are you going to keep putting it off? And
we've always presented problems to fix to the pool. Council has either chose to not fix it or put it in the CIP and then plan for it and get it. But for us to say that we've never brought the problems forward, I don't agree with that statement. We've all been very aware of what's going on with the pool over the last years, and we've done a really good job these past few years to get that pool up. We put a lot of upgrades into it last year and the year before, and we're still putting a lot of upgrades into it. But council over the past couple of years have you put 60,000 transfer in last year, and we did some great things with it, and we're doing the transfer this year. But the whole reason why we backed on that transfer to begin with was to preserve the bottom line on the general fund. So that's just my 2 cents with it.
I argue with the pool needing the repairs and probably past due on those. But just as far as my look at it, a lot of the projects and the plans that I have involve the entire community, residents and businesses alike. There's a lot of economic development that we're missing out on because we don't have the proper publicity, don't have the tools to really showcase what we have to offer here. And then a lot of the community development, like the dog parks or those type of environment or those type of projects, improve the entire community. And, you know, I don't agree with my department getting the brunt of losing half of what we have. But, you know, if there was $40,000 we come up from fund or something like that, you know, obviously I would be in support of that. But there's a lot that I could do with that 70,000 for the entire community.
So with this money, you feel that, you know, it's a community development and attracts, you know, our citizens and people to come to New Carlisle and see what we're about, correct?
Yeah, I really want to, you know, I'm looking for is really the average, you know, is to showcase what we are, what we have here. And that's something we really haven't done before. You know, yes, I would like to attract new businesses, you know, and new housing, stuff like that. But, you know, we have a great community already existing. And I would just really like to see things, you know, brought for them as well. So like the dog park, I really envision a lot of people being able to utilize that and bringing things, you know, to parks. So, you know, community development isn't just necessarily, you know, dealing with blight, but it's also improving what we have. And of course, I mean, anything that we do to improve the community that benefits our community is also, it's going to be more attractive to new businesses or new companies or have you coming into the city to, you know, to help bring in new revenue.
Yeah, and Derek, please don't take what I'm saying like personally towards the planning department. I mean, I am all on board for this. I was supported, you know, adding your position for the better New Carlisle, and I think it's an amazing thing. So I just don't want you to misunderstand what I'm saying. So I'm just saying. I just think before we expand and add on to the things that will require money to take care of them, we should fix the things that need fixed before we expand. I think that's common sense. I'm not going to add on to my house while it's got a water leak. I mean, I know that's.
Yeah, and I agree with that.
Mr. Vice Mayor.
But I also look at things, to be honest with the fireworks. I mean, 15,000 that instead of put fireworks for the community, that could go toward the pool.
I agree.
Well. So I mean, there's things that, you know, that we can do rather than just taking it all from one source. You know, our department, everyone puts a lot of time and effort in creating these budgets and these line items for the CIP and just for the yearly budget. And it stings a little bit, you know, to do that much work, getting it all planned and getting these projects, you know, lined up for next year and having the thought of half of it taken away is, you know, like I said, I wish we could find other avenues to get that money.
Right. Let me cut this conversation off. I don't want to be rude. I just got a message. I've got to get going, but I appreciate everybody's time, and I will hand it over to Mr. Vice Mayor. Mr. Bridge, real quick before I roll, can you do me a favor? And if you get a chance, could you find any proposals that Mr. Kitco has put together over the past 5? I mean, is that something you would have on hand? Is what he's put forward for maintenance on the pool?
It's sectioned throughout the past CIPs we brought to you guys. If you're asking for a complete proposal package, similar to how we did the Adams Street one, I can have them get that together for you. But it's been actually just piecemealed in the various CIPs we've done every year.
Okay,
we've
that's
also
fine.
yeah.
No big deal. That's fine. So, all right, Mr. Vice Mayor, you good to take it over, sir?
Okay, I got a little bit to add to your previous discussion here. Rather than put this 86, I think what it was, $86,000 this liner. What do we need to do to look at the possibility of replacing that pool? What are we talking about money-wise? Do we have any kind of an idea?
Oh, that'd be
A lot.
$500,000.
We're all shooting in the dark.
Man.
You know, before we would put the money into this liner, which is going to last an estimated 10 years, do we want to look at what it would cost to possibly change that pool around, take it out of there, put a new pool in there, slides to make it more attractive so that we can make it a profitable organization?
I don't think this economic climate is the right time to be doing that, though.
Right.
And I think the pool for what we are is a great pool. I mean, we're not Springfield, we're not Tip City, we're not Troy, we don't have aquatic centers, we don't have the Kroger Aquatic Center. We have a great community pool that allows parents to take their young children, knowing that it's not going to be overly crowded and they're going to have to constantly worry about their child being in danger. It's a great, I mean, I love going there. I try to take my kids as much as I can. I grew up there. You know, it's not something that we need to try to attract others outside of the community. I mean, if they want to come, then great. But I think our pool is for our citizens and the local community around, whether it's the Park Lane citizens or the ones on the outskirts. But I don't think investing, I mean, and I say $500,000, I mean, I got a quote for a pool in my backyard for a concrete pouring pool. It was $36,000. And that was for a 12 by 18. So when you're talking that massive of a size, I mean, I couldn't imagine what those numbers would come up to. Now, if you're talking about enhancing it with some sort of splash zone or something, over maybe by the basketball courts or something in the next year or two, that'd be probably fantastic. But I think, you know, if we're going to do anything, we should just build on what we already have there, replace the liner eventually to where we're not losing water and money. And then once that's done, once that is completed, then we can look at trying to get some other funds to attract some others. But I don't think it's ever going to be what other communities have, like a Tip City or Springfield, where it's something gigantic with some 3-tier slide, and you know it serves the purpose for the city, and I think a lot of people appreciate it for what it is and what we're not trying to be.
And if council wants any sort of feasibility studies done, whether it be to do a splash pad or completely repair that pool we have, council in regular session can, by motion of vote, direct their administration to do those type of things. So if you guys want us to look at that, you're more than welcome to go back into a regular session and vote by motion to have us do a feasibility study for different options. So you guys can have that for your projections year 2, 3 year down the road. Just to give you guys a clear picture of what needs to be done and what possibly are the options for what it costs.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'm going to hand it to you. I got to get going. Everyone have a nice night.
You too, Mike.
All right.
Be safe.
Mr. Cobb, you're on.
All right. Drawing money and Mr. Now I can't even think. Mr. Hutchinson, to take money away from him to put into that pool right now, that is ridiculous. You know, we got a man here trying to fix this town up as far as things to do. We also got bad streets here too. And right now we don't need to be taking money from John Blow here or Mr. Kitco or whatever forms we got out there. And we've got to concentrate on the city. If you want to bring people in, people don't like coming in here seeing bad streets. I know, Mr. Bridge, you're trying to get some of these streets fixed. I'm not arguing that. But to steal $30,000, $40,000 from Mr. Hutchinson's when you're trying to get rid of bad property over here in the Norwood Plat, I can't see that. We're better off just wait, like you said, till 2022, correct?
It would be funding year 2022, yeah. We would save the 20 X amount of dollars out this year. We'd save the money for 2021, and then no, it'd actually just be 1 year. We'd save the money for this year, and but by the time the pool opened for the 2022 season, let me get my years right.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be open for 2022.
Okay. Also, when we put that liner in, we're gonna lose the use of that pool for one season, correct?
I think it'd be done before we open. It's installed before we're open. I think they do it like in the off season and then we open it up later on.
I thought that Mr. Kiko said it depend on the weather.
Everything depends on the weather when you do and stuff like that.
Well, I know, but I mean,
Yeah.
Mr. Kiko was saying it would probably run into the season of the pool from not being open to put that liner in there.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. And like I said, I think Derek hit it right on the head. I mean, no one's arguing the pool needs fixed. I just don't think the money should come out of the planning department line item.
Right.
I truly think it should be budgeted how we planned, but if council should choose to move forward, let's not defund a department that can do so much good with that money and that's going to have impact on literally everyone. We need to clean up our downtown. People coming up 235, that's an impression they get. So I just ask council, if you guys do want to take that money out, I hate to say it, but take it from the general fund reserve. But I will remind everyone too, but that pool's an enterprise fund. It should be self-supportive. And that's the big kicker, and it's tough to be self-supported. It is an aging pool. It's an aging facility. We've done a lot of, as soon as we tell you guys what the issues are, we put it in the CIP and we usually end up fixing some things. But Mr. Lowry had hinted at a report. If council would so choose to do that, just let us know and you guys can vote. We can definitely start looking into that feasibility for you. We've got to have a motion of council. Council needs to direct us administrators into however they want us to go. So if that's something you guys want to do, we can. But I'm just urging you guys, let's not defund an entire department that we just got going. Let's look at other, if you get, again, if council wants that money, let's look at other funding sources.
I'm trying to back you on that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm just trying to hit my point home. My job as a city manager is to make sure the funds for the city of New Carlisle are used in a respectable, smart manner. We are not always going to agree. Council always has the final say with your budget. We are there to make recommendations and we are to administer the budget after council votes on it. But so we're just concerned about how council's going to move forward with the funding of those projects and the impact it's going to have on the department.
Okay, you all right, Mr. Cobb?
I'll be all right.
So there's some Mr. Vice Mayor, there's some other things that I just want to give everyone a heads up that we didn't get to that we have to discuss for the CIP, and that's the Adams Tower removal or funds to preserve it. And then increase the cemetery road repairs, and then also savings in the CIP for the new fire station. So I don't know if you want to do those in regular section when we get to the city manager report.
Do you want to, you've got about I've got about 12 minutes.
Okay.
You want to tackle one or two more of those?
Yeah. So I think the most confusing one's going to be the Adams Tower removal or funds to preserve it, because I'm going to be asking for work session dates to really get into the nuts and bolts of that discussion. So depending on how council goes, we're going to have to fully amend the CIP probably again at a later date. So maybe right now, if I don't know how you guys want to move forward, you just want to put something in there to earmark the removal of it. Do you guys want to just leave it out and then determine that after the work sessions?
Have we finalized the flow situation?
No, we just got to wait for all that to get done and come in.
In my estimation, the discussion on the removal of that tower is going to be hinged upon that results from that flow test.
Yep. So why don't we just leave it out for now? And if we have to, we'll have to amend it later on once we have all the information. There's no sense of spending too much time on it until we have all that information.
Is that okay with the rest of council?
Yeah.
Mr. Cobb's got a question.
Go ahead.
If we go and keep the tower and preserve it, we've got to increase everybody's water rate, correct? To
Right.
renovate that.
I mean, if you take it out of circulation, you could possibly move it out of the water department, but if it stays in the water department's hands, the water department, it has to be self-sufficient. So yes, it would have to generate enough funds.
Well, it's, as far as I'm concerned, if we don't need it for the flow, Scarf Road can handle it. We need to take that thing down. before it comes down on its own.
Well, I think at that point, we're gonna have to, I guess, put this off until we get the results of that flow test. Once we get that, I think we're gonna be more intelligent about which way we need to go.
I agree.
So
All
I'm
right,
just making note to just not add that until we have more information. Good?
Yes.
Yep.
Need more info. Okay, so the other thing in there, increased cemetery road repairs. Mr. Cobb had suggested that we put more than 5,000 in for the cemetery road repairs, so that's gonna have to be discussed. And then also the CIP savings for a new fire station was also brought up.
Can I say that we need to increase the road repairs in the cemetery if the money's there?
Well, the money, the general fund
I
has to
know
make
you
a
got-
transfer.
I know you got 5,000 now, correct?
Yeah, yeah, but the fund, the cemetery fund balance is ending in a positive because the general fund's gonna make a transfer. So I did talk to Hallie about this, and I think we have like 25,000 set aside for upgrades to the building. So Howie suggested that we just do some of those upgrades, and whatever's left over, put that in for the additional road repair.
When it comes to road repair, is it just asphalt? Or are we looking for concrete pads, walkways? I mean, what, Mr. Cobb, what are you,
I think they're looking at blacktopping that. There was
Yeah.
5,000 given by, excuse me, Mr. Bridge, go ahead.
No, I was just saying it's asphalt. Sorry, you're good.
There was
I think it's gonna be tar and gravel.
There was 5,000 given for the repair roadways to the cemetery.
Yep.
And all I was looking for was increasing the funds, but if we don't have the money, we can't do more than that 5,000. We can't drag the budget down. If, just to repair roads out the cemetery. And I mean, I make a joke of it, people don't drive out there, they walk. So, but yeah, they do need roads. I've been out there and seen it. That's a lot of it's gravel and everything. And it makes it rough to try to clean the halfways off. Excuse me.
well, and like Mr. Bridge said earlier, I mean, we've already got 25,000 earmarked for repairs of the building. And like Mr. Kitco recommended, maybe we just, roll the dice and maybe those 25,000 ends up being 17, and now we got another 7,000 that we can use for road repair out at the cemetery on top of the additional 5. So that 5 can turn into 12 just by some savings already earmarked for the cemetery building.
What's the rest of council's thoughts?
I agree.
Okay, Mr. Grimm?
Is Mr. Cobb okay?
Yeah.
Mr. Cobb, I have you muted, just so you know. So you have to unmute yourself if you're going to talk.
All right.
Okay.
I would say the cemetery roads are just like the roads in the city. We don't have to do them all at once. I think 5,000 plus anything left over from renovating the building, and then we can do more in succeeding years.
All right, so I think we've got your answer there. We still got about 7 minutes. You want to tackle another one?
The only thing we got left is the CIP and the savings in the CIP for a new fire station. But I am going to ask for like a 3-minute break before the meeting so I can go to the ball field.
Well, what I was looking at on the fire department, if we do like the city's going to do, so much money back per year, figure how, I don't know how many years you do that, but I don't know what amount to put down, what the fire can afford to take out of their funds.
Right now we got 5,000 a year set back for every year in the CIP. So 2021 through 2025, it has 5,000 a year. And then whatever is going to be left over from the building for this year.
Well, what I mean, to build a new station, you're looking at $1 million,
Oh,
and that's an all metal building. Huh?
I was thinking something else. I misspoke. I do apologize.
That's all right. But you're looking at maybe $1.5 million to build a new station. It's the same amount of bays you got right now, plus the sleeping quarters and officers, offices. But there again, I don't know how much money they can afford to take out of their budget per year to put back. That's where I need to talk to Chief Trustee.
So would council be okay just leaving it is and looking at that beginning for next year's CIP so we can do some investigation on stuff? So we got to see how his funds are going to play out anyway, especially with the levy and the fire engine he wants to buy.
Yeah, and I think we'll have a better idea once the substation is tore down.
Mhm.
As for land, if that added parking, if we could extend the building into the current parking now, instead of building a whole new one. The location of the current firehouse is ideal, being that close to the main roads, not only to get the fire engines out, but the EMS and so.
Mhm.
Well, you still got the same thing right over at Madison Street. Madison Street is just as wide as Church Street. They still can get out with no problems at all. And they're
Well,
not,
the central location where it's at now, it's just about equal distance to any place in town.
I agree.
well, you got.
But I'm not disputing you, Mr. Cobb. I mean,
All I'm trying to
the fire
say
building is definitely old and definitely needs some fine tuning, and they're getting ready to put a new roof on it. So that's 40,000, and you don't want a shoddy building when you're buying $500,000 fire trucks and new ambulances and things.
You better look at that's the 7th roof that has been repaired on that building.
Since this,
And it's all been the first 4 times with tar, the rest have been with plastic.
okay.
You got water damage in the walls. Chief Trustee said that.
Yep.
Now you've got to go in now and check all your wiring. You're looking at money that can go towards a new station. And then once you build a new station, you got ideal residential property, which will bring in some money when you sell it.
Well, let me ask this, and I know Randy wants a couple minutes before we. So why don't we just
Oh, don't worry about me. If it's
push this conversation into the regular meeting? But have we ever entertained a joint venture with Bethel Township?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Mhm.
You know,
I love that idea. Love it.
yeah, it ain't gonna happen
No, it
because
won't.
they don't want to do it. They want to be completely in charge.
Oh, fire chief got something to say.
Wait.
Hey, I just threw an idea out. I don't,
It would not work.
Chief Trustee, I think you got the floor.
It would not work. Me and Chief King, me and Chief King have a very, very good working relationship here and from the base. And we have looked at it and tossed back and forth different ideas of how we could do it, if it would be possible. It will not work.
Well,
And it would basically, you would have to give up your fire department. The fire department would no longer, the city would no longer have their own fire department.
They'd be ran by a joint fire district.
when Chief
Not even
Harvey,
that, it would be handled by the county. It would
Right.
be, or under the township. It would become Bethel Township Fire Department.
but
Well,
when Chief,
I don't know about that. They have these joint companies you can go in, but it's not going to happen anyway.
well, like I say, that when Chief Harvey was there, they brought that discussion up, put one out here on 571. Okay, right away, Bethel Township, we control it. You work for us. That's how it come out. And that's when Madge Shellhouse, I think, was the city manager. And
We've came a long way. I mean, just like with 571 Bar and Grill, or whatever it's called now, Stevens Circle, Gary Lane. We have a gentleman's agreement, me and Chief King do, that any EMS runs on those in that area, we automatically respond. If we're in-house and they send their battalion,
7 o'clock.
because we can get there quicker.
Okay,
All right.
shall we break this?
Motion
and
adjourned.
go into regular session here shortly?
Second.
He didn't hear me, did he?
I
I
don't
did.
think so.
I heard Cobb say a motion to adjourn and I heard Grimm say second.
You got it.
Sound good?
Sounds good.
Good.
All right.
Randy's
Councilman
done it.
Noakowski,
Yes.
Councilman Roadwald,
Yes.
Councilman Cobb.
I got a question. Do we have to excuse the mayor for the remaining part of the meeting?
You can do that in regular session.
We can do it in the regular
Okay,
session.
Yeah.
Okay, Councilwoman Eggleston,
Yes.
Vice Mayor Cook,
Yes.
Mayor Lowry is out, Councilman Grimm.
Yes.
That passes 6-0. We'll see y'all in a minute.
5 minutes.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.